And now, an intimate portrait.
I'd hear people talking. I'd hear the characters talking. I'd hear, I just lived.
Her face may not be instantly recognized, but Agnes Nixon's characters are among the most memorable ever created on daytime television.
I've been very lucky, very, very lucky indeed to be put in Agnes Nixon's hands.
Agnes Nixon broke racial barriers and introduced social relevance to soap opera, discovering new talent all along the way.
The lessons that I learned on One Life to Live, I was actually applying the things that I learned without even knowing what I was doing.
Agnes would survive a troubled relationship with a father no one could get close to, carving out a career he didn't want her to have.
But then I don't think my father believed in happiness, and if he had, he wouldn't have wanted it for me.
I'm Judith Light. Television trailblazer Agnes Nixon, an intimate portrait. Next. In 1993, a pretty petite grandmother named Agnes Nixon accepted one of her industry's highest awards, induction into the Television Academy Hall of Fame. For the past 40 years, Agnes's imprint on daytime drama has been unmistakable. As a writer and later as a producer, Agnes dominated daytime television, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. Along the way, she became one of the most powerful women the medium had ever seen. Agnes's career began when TV came in two colors, black and white. The characters were often as cardboard as the sets, but Agnes was destined to change all that. In 1927, on a wintry December day in the Windy City, a baby was born to Agnes Dalton Eckert and her husband Harry. The couple agreed to give their daughter her mother's name, so the baby was also called Agnes. That may well have been the last thing Harry and Agnes Sr. would agree on. Despite the fact that they courted for 12 years, within 3 months of the baby's birth, the marriage was over. Agnes took little Aggie, as they called her, home to Nashville, Tennessee, to live under the roof and under the iron will of little Aggie's strict Irish Catholic grandmother.
She had a silver-headed cane, and she'd stomp it on the floor, and she still spoke in sort of archaic English. I mean, she'd say, "I'll rule ye till the day I die." Boy, and when Grandma Dalton spoke, people got out of the way.
Several of Grandma Dalton's 12 grown children still lived at home, but Agnes was the only child there. It was the Great Depression. Times were tough, even at the wedding of little Aggie's Aunt Rose.
And I remember her wedding. I was 2 years old. I remember Uncle Mike giving me the rice and saying, "Throw it at," they called me Agnes Jr. or Aggie, and throw it when Aunt Rose comes in. And I said, "No, let's take it home and make soup."
Agnes Sr. and little Aggie's favorite aunt, Emma, were both bookkeepers. While they were at work, Agnes was under the stern control of Grandma Dalton.
She thought I was terribly spoiled. I guess because I was an only child. And she used to always say to me, "You're eating your white bread now," meaning that I would never have it so good as I had it at that time. And I remember thinking, if this is white bread, if this is white bread, I like whole wheat.
Agnes had a keen sense of observation and mimicry. She acted out family incidents, recalling every detail. She impersonated people, be it an Irish brogue or the accent of a poor tenant farmer, talking about her to Agnes's grandmother.
"Oh, isn't she sweet? Look at her, Miss Dalton, that's the nicest little girl."
Grandma Dalton was from the children should be seen and not heard school, so it was a lonely, only childhood until one day when Aggie got the idea to make up stories using characters from comic strips.
I cut them out, and I know I was so small that I had to have a scissors that had a blunt edge. And so I couldn't wait until I was old enough to get the pointed scissors. But I'd keep all these in phone books according to sex and this particular doll character. And also if they were sitting or standing and the costumes. It was a very elaborate filing system.
She also spun elaborate plots for her favorite cartoons, called Etiquette and Tilly the Toiler. Both cartoon characters were groundbreaking role models, women who actually worked outside the home, just like Agie's mother and Aunt Emma. Soon, Agnes's pastime was an obsession. Each paper doll was arranged just so, as Agnes wove complex stories in her head.
I remember once, because I was ill a lot as a child, and I had all of them spread out on the bed. And an aunt came in and raised a window in my bedroom, and the wind blew all the dolls awry. And I was devastated. It was as if as an adult, I had cooked a wonderful dinner, and then the dog came and ate it.
Agnes's favorite time of day was when her mother and Aunt Emma came home from work, because after dinner time was story time. The ones Aunt Emma told were the best. Dramatic, romantic stories about Agnes's Irish ancestors, like the one about Agnes's great-grandmother, who had been forbidden by her family to see her true love. So the young couple eloped to America.
She was out in the field digging the potatoes up, and he came by on a horse at full gallop and scooped her up, and off they went to Westport and got on the boat and never looked back and never went back.
When it was time for school, there was no doubt where Agnes would go. To Nashville's St. Cecilia's Academy. Generations of Agnes's relatives attended the venerable convent school run by Dominican nuns. The sisters soon noticed Agnes's gifts, so she was encouraged to write essays.
I wrote one about an old black man whom I didn't know, but I just pictured him. But I'd see, I'd be on the streetcar then, and it was at the time when black people had to go to the back of the bus, and I just hated that, So anyway, I wrote about him, and then I wrote about a debutante. Now, what did I know about debutantes? But I had heard the name, and I wrote about her. She was this selfish little bitch. And Sister Fidelis came over to me afterwards, and she said, "How did you know these people?" And I said, "Well, Sister, I just made it up."
Agnes also began making up plays and acting in them. They were staged on a little platform in the school's reception hall. Agnes's father never saw one. He made only a brief appearance or two in Agnes's young life. Divorce in the 1930s was still a scandal, especially among Catholic families. As the only daughter of divorce at St. Cecilia's, Agnes felt different from the other girls, different and abandoned.
I had a lonely life, yeah, and I had no father, miss her. I think that I had an abandonment complex.